We're now at the home stretch of the Kingdom Hearts Marathon, folks. So, up next in the marathon, it's time to take aim on Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. Originally released for the 3DS, hey, I can finally say that, right? It eventually got an HD remastered port on the PlayStation 4 by way of the Kingdom Hearts 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue compilation. Kinda makes you wonder why this game can be ported onto the PS4, but not 358 Days or Coded. However, like Coded, while I have also known the story of the game, gameplay-wise, this is my first time playing it personally due to burnout on waiting on Kingdom Hearts 3 to hit store shelves, which finally did this past January. At least this should be the last of the Kingdom Hearts side stories, so let's not waste any time, and let's go on with my review of the PlayStation 4 version of Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. After some thinking, right after my review of Kingdom Hearts Coded, I decided that in order for me to end the marathon, especially when we're now 5 months into the year, not to mention the fact that I still have more games that I want to review soon right after this marathon, I decided that right after I'm done telling the story of Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, I will also give a brief summary of Kingdom Hearts Back Cover, a film that is actually in this disc, by the way, as well as talking about the smartphone tie-in, Kingdom Hearts Union Cross. Unlike the Kingdom Hearts games on the DS, Dream Drop Distance has graphics and sound presentation that are good, but the gameplay is a mixed bag. While it sort of plays out on Kingdom Hearts 2 and Birth by Sleep rules, there are some mechanics that deviate themselves from past games, which are either hit or miss. But before we get to it, let's look at the story.
In the previous video, we learned that not only will Xehanort make his eventual return, but also, Mickey sent a letter to Sora and Riku in order to take part in the Mark of Mastery exam, which is what Terra and Aqua have done prior in Birth by Sleep. Which really bothers me as to why waste time doing so, especially when in past games, both Sora and Riku are already capable of holding their own. However, unlike Birth by Sleep, their test involves both of them diving to what is called the Dream Realm, a universe filled with worlds that have remained in comatose after the Heartless destroyed the worlds. In this case, worlds that have been destroyed behind the hero's back, shall we say. Their goal is to restore all of the 7 worlds in the Dream Realm by sealing the keyholes in each world. Upon arrival, not only do Sora and Riku appear with new gear, but somehow have the appearance of their 13 and 14-year-old respective selves. On top of that, despite appearing in the Dream Realm at the exact same time, both heroes can see and communicate with each other, but on different planes of reality and on alternate versions of those worlds. However, the task is easier said than done, as inside the Dream Realm, aside from the Heartless, they encounter creatures called Dream Eaters, with the malicious kind referred to as nightmares, and those that can't support you at all, called spirits. As they travel through different worlds, the boys don't get help from the Final Fantasy cast like they usually would, and instead gain some assistance from characters of an old DS game called The World Ends With You, which I've only played a little bit of it when it first came out, and eventually got a Switch release, which honestly, I haven't really took the time to continue, though I'll eventually will. But I'm not gonna lie when I say that the Kingdom Hearts team did a good job on the design aspect. While the heroes are still out there restoring worlds, some number of Organization 13 members somehow regain their hearts and restore to life, including Axel, now regaining his real identity as Lee, but I'll still call him Axel anyway, with no clue as to how he was restored, much less know if Saïx, real name Isa, is restored as well. But no sooner that he's restored, he was then brought to Yensid in order to train himself with his own Keyblade as his means of redemption. The biggest plot point to the story is this hooded figure that's been keeping an eye on both heroes and reveals himself to be a much younger Xehanort. Yeah, if those yellow eyes of his aren't a sign that he's the evil punk despite his age, then nothing else will. But this Xehanort isn't alone at all, as he would be joined not only by his heartless Ansem and his nobody Xemnas by way of time travel. However, the revived real Xehanort then appears and explains his intentions of recreating the Keyblade, as the original was shattered into 20 pieces, 7 that are the Guardians of Light, while the other 13 are of Darkness, which would somewhat explain the reasoning of Organization 13. It's then revealed that Xehanort would travel back through time to tell his youthful counterpart to travel through time himself to ensure that the light of the 7 princesses and the Organization 13's darkness would collide, in order to reach his desired goal that he tried to accomplish in Birth by Sleep. So the whole Ansem seeking the door to Kingdom Hearts and Xemnas recreating Kingdom Hearts are nothing more than distractions planned by Xehanort in order to formulate his plan under everybody's noses, and so far, he seems to be doing it well, as his purpose for the organization in the first place was to have many successors that would act accordingly like him and continue his dirty work.
In addition, Xehanort and some members of Organization 13 are restored back to life by simply destroying them? How the heck does that work? I mean, if restoring life were to be this easy, then I guess it's safe to say that all the characters in these games are actually capable of reincarnation, right? I mean, if you consider these facts, when a living being loses a heart, both a Heartless and Nobody are formed, and just by disposing them would bring that being back, completely restored whole. I think, in my opinion, all the characters in the series might as well be considered immortals.
Xehanort was about to make the captured Sora his host for his plans, until he was saved in the nick of time by Riku, Mickey, and the now reformed Axel, and were able to escape Xehanort's grip. Riku manages to seal the keyhole within Sora's soul, resulting in Sora waking up from his comatose state, and Riku was then granted the title of Keyblade Master, which Sora doesn't seem to care that he was upstage. In fact, he's happy for the dude, and Sora afterwards travels back to the Dream Realm in order to give his thanks to their newfound friends, while Axel and Kairi would eventually begin their training as Keyblade wielders in order to get Sora, Riku, Kairi, and Axel ready for their final match against Xehanort, ending Dream Drop Distance. Usually the concept of time travel is often easily mismanaged in video games, but in the Kingdom Hearts mythos, it wasn't until this game that it's been played out rather cleverly. Well, in Xehanort's case anyway, having the motives of his Heartless and Nobody be nothing more than distractions in the grand scheme of things to make his ends meet, which really made Xehanort such a strategic villain.
That's our scumbag!
But despite knowing what Xehanort's plan is, the overall plot of Dream Drop Distance, while not bad at all, it feels more like a fragmentary passage, as it's more or less a playable teaser to get us all pumped for Kingdom Hearts 3, which we don't get until 7 years later after this game is released. I wouldn't exactly say that all loose ends for the heroes are all tied up. Nope, not yet, because even though Riku's the Keyblade Master, the job is far from done, because Xehanort is still on the loose and it's high time for the heroes to hit the gym and train until the inevitable, which is Kingdom Hearts 3, and thank goodness we'll get this marathon done with that game.
Before I talk about the fundamentals of Dream Drop Distance, let's take a quick look at the film, Kingdom Hearts back cover, as well as its smartphone tie-in.
The story takes place a century past, making this film the real prequel of the entire Kingdom Hearts mythos, as it involves this organization-cloaked figure who is referred to as the Master of Masters, telling his 6 animal-masked apprentices of a prophecy that would threaten the entire universe. In this case, the very first Keyblade War, which was mentioned in Birth by Sleep, which by then, the smartphone game, Union Cross, comes into play. Union Cross, while canon to the mythos, is not your traditional Kingdom Hearts game. In this game, you're controlling an avatar of your creation, ridding the worlds of Heartless while joining one of 5 factions. The game is mostly just finding the target Heartless and taking them out, and it's very simple to manage, as not only are you equipping a Keyblade into battle, but you'll also make use of the power of medals, which by swiping them, you can perform special moves to take out any Heartless that impedes your path. Of course, you'll also be spending so much time taking on special side quests or taking part in team quests if you wish to build up your avatar, and that's very much the whole game. And from what I researched, there's about 850 or more quests in the story section that I just don't have the time to do it, and just look it up on how it ends, and it's exactly how Xehanort pointed out. Just as a warning, since it is a smartphone game, it's not without microtransactions, which is never a good thing, and the only logical thing you could do is farm for in-game cash rigorously. There are minigames in the form of Classic Kingdom, a set of Game & Watch styled minigames which their purpose is to be played for a higher score, and each has a goal point that, if met on each Classic Kingdom game, you can unlock a special code to unlock the Starlight Keyblade to be used in whatever version of Kingdom Hearts 3 you have, though I don't bother with it as it is tough to do so. Overall, back cover story is not too bad, but it has little bearing on the current situations that are already happening in the series' current timeline, so let's go back to Dream Drop Distance. Since I only have the PS4 version, I'll only discuss the gameplay mechanics that are present on just this version alone, omitting features from its 3DS counterpart. The gameplay is back to how Kingdom Hearts 2 and Birth by Sleep were, as both Sora and Riku have their Keyblades on hand, you beat down Heartless for experience points to raise their stats, and gain more Keyblades to use along the way. One of the new mechanics to the game is flow motion, which is done by performing actions such as rail grinding, spinning around poles or lampposts, or bouncing off walls, and when boosting from performing said actions, you can perform destructive piercing attacks complete with some invincibility on your person, and as long as said obstacles are present, the Heartless will have no chance of hurting you. The command deck system also makes its return, and it's back to how it was in Birth by Sleep, and with the aforementioned flow motion, it makes both heroes versatile, though not in the heaviest extent as Birth by Sleep was, but at least customization in this game is made flexible. When not in combat, you can still perform flow motion, and more often you'll be wall jumping and air dashing in many of each world's higher structures, making the search for any hidden treasures easier due to the distance of doing so. Unfortunately, flow motion is the only solution to get to your destination faster, as the area size of each world is how it was in Kingdom Hearts 2, meaning that the world has so much space to run around, but almost feel completely barren, and it is noticeable in two of the returning worlds, such as the inside of Monstro from Pinocchio, and the newly expanded Traverse Town from the first game. It is possible to dash through each world with flow motion, but the other mechanic that would stop you in your tracks will be the drop meter in each hero. The longer you travel inside the world, the gauge will gradually decrease, and when it empties out, that character will fall asleep, forcing you to switch to another character and vice versa if he's forced into that state as well, and each world has to be completed with both characters to progress the story. So your best bet is either you blaze through the world as fast as you can, or use an item called a Drop Me Nut in order to keep that character active, but even then, that gauge will stop at nothing to make sure that you don't speed through the story fast enough, and it's irritating if it were to occur during a boss match, forcing the battle to reset itself. Whenever you defeat enemies or completing optional tasks, you'll also earn drop points which, if by any chance one character drops, you can spend those points to give some benefits to the next character you're controlling until that character drops as well. Lather, rinse, and repeat. The only thing that differentiates the two heroes would be how they utilize the Spirit Dream Eaters. The Dream Eaters are like computer-controlled allies from past games, only their mentality are more like those of soldiers rather than having any sort of personality, and the only way they can be created is combining dream fragments together with an item or spell by experimenting with different combinations or using recipes that are hidden in treasure chests. When Sora links with Dream Eaters, his link is very much the attack limit techniques from Kingdom Hearts 2, though less engaging, but they still get the job done. Riku's Dream Eater linking is very much Kingdom Hearts 2's drive forms, as Riku temporarily fuses with whatever Dream Eater he has on the field and can perform different combos. I don't use these links often unless it's a boss fight in order for me to progress with the game, and even though I can use these links to my leisure, the Dream Eaters are also my only means of gaining new moves for the heroes. Remember the stat matrix from Coded? Well, it sort of came back in this game, but it is handled much differently and in my opinion, stupidly. In this game, you can still level up your stats like normal, but as far as getting abilities are concerned, it is done by nurturing these creatures. Whether it's petting them with your in-game mouse cursor, feeding them food, or have them engage in minigames, it's the only way for you to gain link points for your Dream Eaters, and use said points to further increase stats and gain new abilities, essentially turning the game into Kingdom Hearts Tamagotchi. And you can also have your pets fight each other with some mechanics from Chain of Memories thrown in, and it's not very impressive, but as stated, it's another way to earn link points. Sure, you can also earn link points by defeating Heartless, but from my experience, it's much longer to do so than using the Dream Eater simulator, but take it from me, as boring as the simulator gets, it's imperative that you spend time on doing so because later down the road, Heartless will have no problem isolating you, and even with the strongest techniques, you're still guaranteed to be dogpiled because of relentless enemy placement. which is no wonder why the leveling system in Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 are so much better, because aside from the usual stat boost, I can also gain some active and passive abilities when reaching certain levels, and Birth by Sleep's command deck system is user-friendly. But after those games, the Kingdom Hearts team kept making mistakes of trying to fix what's never broken in the first place. I understand that when a game is successful, developers would try something new to make their sequels feel fresh and new. I mean, there's nothing wrong with trying to be innovative, but sometimes having that continuous mentality might just be too much of a good thing. As I'm playing the PS4 version, while I still don't like the fact that the worlds are overly barren in terms of area space, a la Kingdom Hearts 2, the designs are actually really nice, with the best one being the Symphony of Sorcery from Fantasia, and its whimsical visuals really fit the world's theme nicely. And hey, wouldn't you know it? There's no Olympus to be found. You know, that one world from Hercules that's just about in every Kingdom Hearts game? As for sound presentation, there's no need for me to discuss that because it's Kingdom Hearts after all, and that's all for me to say about that. In conclusion, the game overall feels more like some steps backwards from Birth by Sleep, with about 1 or 2 steps above Coded, and despite how tedious the Dream Eater simulator can be, at the very least it's not as boring as 358 Days or Coded for that matter. To that end, that game gets at least a 7.5. I think the next time I'll replay the game is when I stream it, which won't be anytime soon, and hopefully the next game, it should return back to its roots, right?
We'll find out soon enough, because up next in the Chronicles, we're going to end the marathon with my review of Kingdom Hearts 3, the long-awaited sequel that took 14 years in the making. So many of my friends have already played the heck out of this game and even beat it for just a few days. However, I made sure that anything they post, I will not click on them because I really don't want to be spoiled. Not to mention the fact that, given the fact that I've been working so hard as of late, I really have no time to actually play some games. But hopefully this marathon will end with a bang. I played the demo before, and my hype for it was really high. But will the finished product change my opinion of it? Well, we'll just have to wait until the review, folks. Until then, this has been Musashi X, and I bid you all farewell. Take care, and stay tuned for the finale of the Kingdom Hearts Marathon. Sayonara, folks.